to seek the ultimate knowledge of the Jedi, have you? No, it's just me. So, hello everyone, and welcome to this review rant video. I have just seen The Last Jedi, and this video will contain spoilers. So, just so you know, spoiler. I will tell you what I thought about the movie, what was wrong and what was right, and if Star Wars is dead or very much alive. So expect spoilers. Let's start by saying I went in with very low expectations for this Star Wars movie. But first a little background. The first Star Wars movie that I saw was Return of the Jedi, and I saw it when it premiered. I'm pretty old, you know. And I was blown away. I loved it. I loved it very much. And since that day, I am a huge Star Wars fan. Strange that I saw Return of the Jedi, but The Empire Strikes Back first. If I said that I saw Return of the Jedi first, I'm apologizing because I saw Empire Strikes Back. I don't remember what I said. I'm still blown away by the movie. Alright, so I first saw The Empire Strikes Back, then I saw Star Wars, and then I saw Return of the Jedi. So it's a little bit weird order. But I became a Star Wars fan. I collected the Kenner Star Wars figures. I even had a Millennium Falcon and an AT-ST. Is that what you call them? And when the prequels came, I liked them, despite many others. I even thought that Jar Jar was an okay creature, you know. Might not have been the best George Lucas invented, but if you go back to the Star Wars saga, many of the characters are silly. You know, like elephants in drums playing music, weird creatures who looks like werewolves, you know. It's a fantasy, high fantasy, science fiction, and Jar Jar Binks filled the shoes of an obnoxious alien. I didn't care for him much, but I didn't hate him. And it was fun to see Darth Vader, how he came to be, and how Palpatine came to be. But yeah, I liked the Star Wars prequels. They didn't match the Star Wars sequels, or the original trilogy, I mean, but they were okay. Then came Force Awakens, when we had lost all hope of ever having a continuation to the original trilogy. And at first I thought it was cool, I loved it, except for and this is spoiler territory, except for the fact that they killed off Han Solo, and I pretty much hold Harrison Ford responsible for that, because he wanted to kill off the character even in Return of the Jedi. I don't know why. It's one of his most successful roles, the one he's associated with, but instead he wants to hide in refrigerators and play Indiana Jones. It beats me. Never mind. After I have reviewed The Force Awakens, my love for it, or my like for it, has sunk. I think it's pretty one-dimensional characters like Finn and Poe, who doesn't do anything to advance the story that much. They are just ordinary guys. And yeah, Rey is cool, but she's like, yeah, it's not the original characters, if I say it like that. So when the Last Jedi started to pop up everywhere, rumors about it and the first pictures and so. Of course the gossip and theory started. Who was Snoke? Who was Rey's parents? And stuff like that. And after watching The Last Jedi, I think I can safely say that please, Star Wars nerds, stop with your theories, because they are never what you think they are. Star Wars isn't so complicated that you have to dig up all these weird, crazy stories that Snoke is Darth Revan, who has been frozen in carbonite and flung across the universe, ended up on Krypton, and you know, it's pretty much what you see, so stop it. Alright, what I mean by that is, and here comes the spoilers, because here I'm going to discuss the movie. I'm going to take this Jedi cloak off. The thing is, the movie starts with Rey on that planet. As I said, the names haven't stuck in my head, and she approaches Luke, and he throws the lightsaber away, and he's like, no, he doesn't want to help, blah blah. So I'm not going to discuss the whole movie. He agrees to train her for like 3 lessons, blah blah. But it ends up, I'm going to, I don't want to tell the whole movie, so I'm just going to compromise it to like a little cube. Ends with Rey leaving the planet with Chewbacca and the Porgs. Cute little creatures who didn't have anything to do with the story, more than looking cute and selling toys. And she has this connection with Kylo Ren. They talk to each other, and she feels the good in him. Sounds familiar. And in a scene pretty much ripped from Return of the Jedi, they stand in an elevator because she gives herself to Kylo Ren in order to, I don't know, change his mind. He actually stands there with handcuffs on and says stuff like, I can feel the conflict in you. And they both have, and she has cuffs and they're both standing, and Kylo is like, I'm gonna take you to Supreme Leader Snoke, and she's like, oh, then you're truly dead. No, she might not say exactly, And the whole scene with Snoke and Rey and Kylo, and this is one of the things that I didn't like, is hard to say, but that I felt was easy done. It's pretty much Return of the Jedi again, to the last, the commentaries or the dialogue. The rebel fleet is being smashed in the background. Snoke is in this chair in the throne room, and he's cackling, and your alliance is lost, and she gets angry, and when he snaps the lightsaber. But it is a twist in this scene, and here comes one other spoiler, and one that I think many people didn't like. Because Snoke says, I can feel Kylo's thoughts, he's the bad guy, and he will light up his lightsaber and kill the real threat. And he snaps Snoke in two. He slits him off in the middle, and Snoke dies. Now, after all the theories that he's Darth Plagueis and whatever, this might feel a bit like a slap in the face. And I was really hateful toward this movie when this came out, that Snoke just dies without any explanation who he is. But then it hit me really hard when I was watching the movie. And since that scene was basically a rip-off of Return of the Jedi, things came into my mind. Because when the Return of the Jedi premiered, we didn't have the prequels telling us how Palpatine came to power. For me, as an 11-year-old or whatever I was when the Return of the Jedi came out, Palpatine, who didn't even have a name, he was just the Emperor. He had no backstory. He was just a bad guy. And nobody really questioned who he was or how he rose to power. He was just a bad guy. And Vader threw him down a shaft and he died. And that was that. It wasn't until the prequels came that we started to think about Palpatine, who was he, blah blah blah. Snoke has the role of old emperor. He doesn't have a backstory and doesn't need to have one. He's just a bad guy who wants to rule the galaxy. And he misjudges Kylo Ren and gets killed. But it doesn't end with that, because Kylo, unlike his grandfather Darth Vader, doesn't turn to the light. He's still determined to rule the galaxy, and he takes Snoke's place, and he wants Rey to join him. And here comes another thing that I hated before the movie, before I watched it. He says to Rey, search your feelings, you know who your parents were. They are nothing, they were just junk dealers who sold you for like booze money. And they are buried in the desert of Jakku. You are nothing in this story. And the reason he says this is, I think, to make her feel small. Sorry. So he can control her better, you know. You're nothing, come with me and I will give you. Together we can rule the galaxy like brother and sister. You can, yeah. So I think she still is someone. I don't think she's a no one. I think she's a Skywalker. Alright, the another thing that I hated before I saw the movie was the fact that one of my big childhood heroes, Luke Skywalker, dies. Yes, there I said it. But it sounds so depressing when you hear it. First Han Solo died, which I hated, but that was Ford's own doing. But Luke Skywalker dying, and I'm sorry, my neighbor's dog is out of control. I've tried to wait, but he just doesn't want to be quiet. Anyway, Luke Skywalker dies, but he doesn't die, you know, a heroic death. He projects himself on the planet of Kroit, where Kylo Ren and the Empire, New Order, attacks the rebel base. And this scene is, by the way, also one of the scenes that I'm a little bit suspicious about, because it's basically Hoth all over again. Anyway, he projects himself to stop Kylo Ren in a scene that is it's amazing. I love the scene. Mark Hamill does such an awesome role, and you can see, I think he's pretty having fun with the role here. And it turns out not the sad scene, it turns out like, you know, the last thing he says, also spoiler, is "see you around, kid," before he just dissolves into nothingness and leaves Kylo. And then he dies of the exhaustion of doing this little parade, or this little number. And he fades into nothing like Yoda and Obi-Wan did before him. And I hated the thing that Luke was supposed to die in this movie. But then again, Yoda is in this movie. He comes to Luke and they talk a lot, and Yoda displays powers. He burns down a force tree by striking it with lightning, which shows that these force ghosts aren't exactly ghosts as haunted hill ghosts. These creatures or persons, whatever, have become one with the force, so they are living through the force and aren't exactly dead in a dead way. So I guess Mark Hamill and Luke Skywalker will return in the next episode 9, probably more powerful than ever before, because now he also is a ghost force being. So that didn't actually shook me up as bad as I thought it would. The humor in the movie is I laughed in a good couple of places, because it is funny. It isn't overly funny. I know some people have complained that it is too much jokes. It is a couple of jokes that might be feeling out of place, but mostly it's like, yeah, it's fun. It's actually funny jokes. It makes you smile. And it's needed because the movie is very long. Now, some other small details that I want to say I'm disappointed with, and basically it's two things, at least now in my head. First one is Phasma, the Chrome Stormtrooper officer. Come on, in the first one she gets captured and forced to give up some code and then thrown in a trash compactor. In this one she actually fights Finn and then she dies. Just like that, she dies. Totally worthless character. Totally worthless. So let's talk about waste, man. Phasma, Boba Fett of this trilogy. Totally worthless. And I hope by God she doesn't get any cult reputation, because she's not even worth that. And I'm not blaming the actress, I'm blaming the screenwriters. Alright. Number 2, Benicio del Toro's character, who is pretty much hit and miss. He helps Rose, which is a new character, and Finn to break a code, and then he turns on them because of money and he disappears. I don't know if he dies when the ship explodes, or he's just a wasted opportunity. Didn't need to be in the movie at all. Those two are my biggest problems with that. And the whole... well, you know, people, I want to address something else. I've seen several things on Facebook saying, you know, a picture or something. And first, fans complained that Force Awakens was too much like A New Hope. Now they are complaining that Last Jedi is not enough Star Wars. But that's just BS. BS. That's BS, because the Last Jedi is pretty much as much Star Wars as you can get. It even copies Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back in many places. Sorry. So saying that they are hate for The Last Jedi because it's not enough like Star Wars, that's just BS, because it is Star Wars in its purest form. And it's better than The Force Awakens, who felt pretty flat. And there are a lot of cool creatures, the special effects are great, there's humor in it, they even make fun of Snoke after he's dead. And perhaps it's a little bit too much humor in it. It's a little bit hard to take the new Empire seriously when they act like the Three Stooges, you know. And the beginning is pretty much sets the tone for that when Poe Dameron mocks with Hux. You know, he can't hear him, and he's like, does he hear me? It's like Monty Python humor in space. Yeah, so it's funny, it's full of adventure, it leans towards fantasy more than science fiction with, you know, the Force in this one is really mystic. No words of the midichlorians or whatever they call midichlorians, you know. I miss Han Solo, of course. I will always miss Han. I wish he could have just popped up as a Force ghost, you know. I don't know that. I know he's not a Force sensitive guy, but you know, pretty much everyone who dies in Star Wars, I mean, this Force is their religion, and you know, I bet there's an afterlife in Star Wars universe. Maybe they can't show themselves or interact like the Jedis can, but I'm pretty sure there's an afterlife. So couldn't she just, who is Force-sensitive, just Leia or Luke could have seen him for short, you know, he could have just smiled and make a thumbs up. But that's probably Harrison Ford's fault too. Alright, I will end this review, spoiler blah blah, by saying that I give The Last Jedi a solid 4 out of 5. There are things that could have been better, but it is the best Star Wars movie since Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith. which I liked, despite people saying it's wooden acting, but I don't hold. I hold the screenwriters and the director responsible for that, not the actors. So yeah, go see The Last Jedi. Expect an ordinary Star Wars movie full of adventure and fantastic creatures with a twist. The twist being that it is no twist. It's exactly what you think it is. And yeah, with that said, I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you guys, and remember, there can't be any light without darkness. And I will also add, may the Force be with you.